Hello, welcome to the session about the news in the SUSE Linux Enterprise 15 SP4 release. My name is Michal and I am product manager at SUSE working on the SUSE Linux Enterprise product family. And I have Stefan Weiberg with me as well, who's working on SUSE Linux Enterprise products as a release manager. In this session, we will talk about the 15 SP4 highlights. We will outline some of the hardware enablement which has happened in the release. And we will also dive into detail about the additions, new features and improvements which are included in 15 SP4 as well. Let me start with an introduction. Here in the picture you can see the overall SUSE product portfolio and two major groups in there. So SUSE Linux Enterprise products, operating systems, different extensions and components, and also Kubernetes and containers coming with SUSE Ranger brand. SUSE Linux Enterprise really comes with all the components powering not only our products, but also enabling our customers and partners to run workloads in different environments, ranging from developments and POCs, through the data center, on-prem, off-prem, in the cloud, through a branch to the edge. SUSE Linux Enterprise comes in two major code streams at the moment. SLE 11 is the oldest one. It's over long-term support at the moment, so no real development is ongoing there anymore. SLE 12 is in general support. We have released its last service pack SP5, so we still do selected enablement, but we are extremely careful because since there are no service packs released anymore, we don't want to disrupt the running environment, so we are pretty picky in what we take into the release. It will be in general support through 2024, and then we will have the long-term support period. SLE 15 is where the most of the development is ongoing right now. So we are right before SP4, and it's around corner, so pretty much done. And after SP4, we plan 3 more additional service packs. And the life cycle is still the same as we have had so far. So 10 years general support plus 3 years long-term support. And these 3 years of long-term support are available for each and every service pack of a SLE 15 code stream. There is 6 months overlay support, and all various products can actually share the life cycle or differ a little bit. So I would encourage everyone to go to suse.com/lifecycle to get the details for each product on the respective life cycle. Let me highlight some of the key innovations and changes in SLE 15 SP4. So first and foremost, security. So security is getting more important every day. And that's why we have invested a lot in the topic. And some of the additions include SLSA, meaning Secure Software Supply Chain Security, and also security certification compliance and live patching has been improved. And also confidential computing is an important topic for us. The other topic and big area of investment is developers and productivity and tooling improvements. So a lot of the components in the operating system have been updated and upgraded to enable developers, open source developers, enterprise developers, and others to leverage all the innovation which has been happening upstream and use SUSE Enterprise as a viable development platform. And the third big topic is hardware enablement. So where we are working with our partners and hardware vendors to enable all the performance improvements and features in the latest chips and hardware platforms to be able to run SLE 15 SP4 the best way on these new releases on the hardware which is available right now or would be coming shortly. In detail, some of the highlights I want to follow up. Security I mentioned, and I did mention live patching as well. So live patching is something what we have had for years in the kernel area. That allows to update kernel and fix security issues within the kernel space without any downtime or reboots. We are taking it further and enable user space live patching with 15 SP4 so that not only the kernel itself, but applications can be patched without any downtime and disruption of a service. Base container images have been enhanced, so the set is expanding pretty much as we speak. So we have had base container images for SLES for many years as well, and we have expanded the set of base images to offer more images of a smaller size, but we are also adding different images for programming language text to again enable developers to use SLE as a viable development platform. A lot of the features and improvements have gone into different parts of the stack, NVMe over TCP as a next generation of the TCP protocol is a good example. And a lot of the updates have gone into different daemons and packages and libraries and components, enhancing the experience and allowing to use the upstream features. And again, enable developers to leverage these improvements in their applications. And last thing I want to point out is strength of the monitoring and verification console for SAP environments, which allows customers and users to check proactively and monitor the environment. And again, to prevent any disruption and any downtime, so that the downtime can be scheduled and would not happen in unexpected times. Hardware enablement, I mentioned we are working with our partners who are actually producing the hardware, and we take their bits and patches and enable their latest development so that the software and applications can run seamlessly and as fast as possible. A good example is our collaboration with Intel, where we are enabling their latest 4th generation Xeon processor platforms, including all various extensions as outlined in the slide. Also other platforms like Alder Lake and other devices as well. Similar collaboration is ongoing with AMD, with enablement of their latest Genoa processors, and also their secure virtualization extensions, including the encryption improvements, are now fully supported and fully implemented. And also our other hardware bits as GPUs and similar ones. And again, same on the ARM platform, which is another one in the product family. So a lot of the architectural features are now supported, and also improvements in areas like ACPI or NUMA or in the drivers have been included in the 15 SP4 release. And both IBM platforms, Power and Z, have seen a lot of changes as well, like secure boot on Power, hybrid network virtualization has been improved, a lot of driver improvements. And IBM Z has got the highlight of IBM Z16 support, which is a platform which was just announced and it's a new thing, so we fully support it with 15 SP4 release. The graphical installer has been improved, and a bunch of different changes like HPC related ones have been improved in the tooling. So those have been the highlights about the hardware enablement, and let me now hand over to Stefan to dive deeper into the improvements and other features in the OS and in the release. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stefan Weiberg. I'm the SLE release manager for SLE 15 SP4, and I'm here to talk more about the general improvements that we are going to introduce with SLE 15 SP4. Let me first start with the kernel, which we have updated to version 5.14. This is going to add support for Btrfs subpage block size and also support for NVMe over TCP and the storage device inline encryption. On the networking side, we are now providing alternative names for network interfaces, and for RDMA over converged Ethernet, we are now providing predictable interface names, which makes the setup easier and more reliable. We are also adding thermal pressure framework in the process scheduler, and BTF is now supported in the kernel. On the server side, we have updated a lot of services and applications, fixing issues and adding new capabilities to these. CollectD has been updated for better data collection on big deployments. On the FW update side, we have updated that for easier and more reliable firmware updates. Rust daemon has been updated for enabling new hardware platforms. We have updated systemd to version 249, which is now enabling unlocking LUX2 volumes with TPM2, FIDO2, and other tools. So if you're interested in that, there's a very good blog post by Leonard Pöttering, which is linked in the slides. We have added systemd ZRAM, the systemd ZRAM service for mounting swap on a ZRAM device. XFS procs has been updated with all the with the latest stable release, which combines all the backported patches that we had in the version in 15 SP3 and now provides a new stable release with all those fixes included. And we are providing a technical preview inside of Wicked, which provides the Redfish Finder capability, which was available in the package Redfish Finder for the network manager. And we didn't stop there. We updated a lot more of applications. So things like SSSD, 389DS, Samba, and other applications have been updated. So if you're interested in that, please have a look in the full changelog for 15 SP4. On the database engine update side, we have updated PostgreSQL to the latest release 14, which is going to introduce performance improvements in heavy workloads. We have updated MariaDB also to the latest stable version 10.6. And Redis has been updated to version 6.2 based on the added functionality that is part of this release, and also to address issues that were requested by users. On the virtualization side, we did a full component refresh. So the KVM stack has been refreshed, including QEMU and libvirt. We have also updated the Xen stack. And all of this comes with new features, but not only limited to KVM and Xen, but for example, we are now providing support for newer versions of Microsoft Hyper-V and VMware. On the KVM side, KubeVirt is now production supported, so it's not a tech preview anymore as it was introduced in 15SP3. And on the hardware enablement part, as already mentioned by Michal, we are now adding AMD SEV support, AWS Graviton, and NVIDIA vGPU Software 13 support. On the certification and documentation side, we have two news for the virtualization topic. For the certification on SAP HANA on KVM, we are now providing the support, new certification for Cascade Lake, and also new use cases have been certified with multi-VM and VM live migrations and 6 terabyte VMs. And on the documentation side, we have added a best practice guide for large Xen configurations. On the public cloud side, we are now providing pre-hardened images. Those are available both as bring your own subscription and pay as you go. On AI, we are now providing AArch64 instance support on Azure. The live migration of SEV instances in GCE is now supported, as well as the Nitro enclaves in AWS. And we have added a HPC bring your own subscription image in GCE. For the container side, we are providing, since 15SP3, base container images. We are providing those in 3 flavors, base, minimal, and micro. So depending on your use case, you can choose between those flavors and go as minimal as you require. But we are also providing development stack images for Go, Node.js, Python, OpenJDK, Ruby, and .NET. All of those have been updated with 15SP4. And we are providing a BCI repository, which doesn't come with support, but is also free of charge to use. And with 15SP4, as already said, we updated all those containers from 15SP3, and we are adding new images, providing support for PHP, Perl, and Rust. On the tools enablement side, we are providing a containerized RMT, and the NVIDIA GPU utilities are now provided for Containerd. And for further notable updates, we have updated Podman to version 3.4, and Trivi is now supporting the scanning of SLE images. On the developer side, we have updated the whole developer stack. As already mentioned, Go, Rust, Node.js 16, OpenJDK 17 have been updated. And for Go and Rust, you will also receive further updates throughout the lifecycle of 15SP4, as we are going to do regular maintenance updates to the latest available versions of Go and Rust. We have updated the Python interpreter, the separate development Python interpreter from Python 3.9 to Python 3.10, which is now in its own module. It's Python 3 module. More on that later. We have updated PHP to version 8.0, including the PHP Composer. And Tickle has been updated to 8.6.12. We have also done the yearly update of the GCC toolchain, which now provides proper cross-compilers. And we are also offering a service based on debug infod within ELF utils. And on the Windows subsystem for Linux, we are now supporting X11 by default on WSL2 images. Also, the installation of Microsoft Terminal shortcuts is possible now via the WSL distro launcher. And we have created a WSL landing and documentation page if you're interested in that. On the SAP side, there's a separate talk around SAP and Trento. So I'm going to skip over this slide real quick. Just information what Trento is. Trento is basically a day 2 operations manager for customers to manage their HANA and S4HANA deployments. And this should prevent downtimes through a proactive check and monitoring of the cluster environment. On the SAP Start framework, SAP is now using systemd natively to better support Linux integration. And all of the SUSE tools are compatible with both the old and the new framework. So regardless if you're still with the old framework or the new framework based on systemd, you can be assured that the SUSE tools are supporting both worlds. To the HA announcements, I come on the next slide. And for this SAP tooling update, we have updated Subtune to version 3, which is now adding machine-readable output. For high availability, we have updated Pacemaker to version 2.1 with OCF 1.1 support. The default will still stay with OCF 1.0, but if you're interested, the OCF 1.1 standard is supported. So if you want to use that for the communication between Pacemaker and resources, feel free to do so. For the cluster maintenance, we have simplified the whole cluster maintenance, so it's now possible to do a graceful cluster shutdown using CRM shell --all. We have also added easier recovery so that the OCFS2 file system mounting can be mounted at the recovery side without using the full stack to be recovered. And for the reporting, we've added improvements that we deprecated HB report and are using CRM shell report instead now. And CRM shell report has been improved in terms of performance, especially for larger clusters. On the live patching side, we are now providing user space live patching. So this will be integrated within the regular live patching offering, which is already supporting live patching of the kernel. We are starting out with supporting glibc and OpenSSL packages with this ULP, but we are looking into further libraries based on your feedback. So if you have any libraries in mind that you would like to see supported by the user space live patching, please get in contact with us and we can look into enabling those libraries for future releases of the user space live patching. On the HPC side, we have updated the HPC stack. So MPICH has been updated to version 3.4.2. Slurm has been updated to 22.05. libfabrics is now getting access to OPX. The PSM2 libraries now have access to GPU updates. And also the OpenCL driver have been updated. We have switched from Ganglia to Grafana. And we have also updated Svec to the latest stable version. Especially the latter is pretty important because with the package selections, we have also now decided to focus really on the most used components within the HPC package. So that's within the HPC module. So that's why we are dropping some of the library packages and have removed them. But you can build your own libraries using Svec to do so. All the affected libraries that have been removed from the HPC offering are still available within SUSE Package Hub. And there's also a listing down here with all the affected libraries that have been removed. And you now either have to use Svec to build those libraries on your own or use them from SUSE Package Hub. On the desktop side, we did have some big changes. So we moved to the newest GNOME 41 release. This adds additional panels. It does have some enhancements in the power options. The performance overall has been improved. We also updated the whole stack around that. So for example, the Bluetooth stack has been updated. We are now also providing an alternative audio stack option. So if you're interested, you can switch to use Pipewire on the desktop offering. We updated Qt5 to the latest version of Qt 5.15.2 to better support KDE application integration and also the experience using KDE from Package Hub. And Mesa has been updated to support newer drivers. And on the graphics stack announcements, I already mentioned that the X11 integration has been done for the WSL2 images. And as a tech preview, you can now enable Wayland on the latest NVIDIA proprietary drivers. So in total, I can say we did have a lot of package updates within 15 SP4. So we had the kernel 5.14 that has been updated on the desktop side, as mentioned, GNOME 41, GTK 4.0, the newest Qt5. Mesa, BlueZ that have been updated. On the database side, PostgreSQL going to version 14, MariaDB to 10.6, Redis to 6.2. On the HPC side, Slurm, Svec, and other tools that have been updated. Samba 4.15, Apache 2.4, Bind 9.16. On the security side, we are now providing OpenSSL free in parallel. AppArmor has been updated to the latest version. And we are also doing a lot of FIPS improvements because we are also targeting to provide a FIPS certification for 15 SP4. And we have updated SALT to version 3004. And as mentioned, on the developer tool side, we have updated all of the developer stack. Maybe also important to note is that also on the Python 3.6, which is our system Python version, with all the Python libraries being available for Python 3.6, but we have updated all those Python libraries that can be updated with the backwards compatibility still applicable, and have updated the whole Python stack in that regard. Also be assured that with all of the application update that we are doing, we are definitely looking into all of those changes being backwards compatible and making sure that you can really migrate your use case from an older SLE 15 service pack to the newer version. But we are not only updating components and packages, but we are also deprecating and removing some support. So you have already seen the removed libraries that we have on the HPC side, but also in the more general SLE side, we have removed Open LDAP Server as already announced in 15 SP3 and also prior service packs, which has been replaced by 3890S. On the PAM and NSS LDAP has also now finally been removed, and it is replaced by SSSD. We have now removed Python 2 from SLE 15 SP4. So SLE 15 SP4 won't have any Python 2 packages available anymore, but it's still available in SLE 15 SP3 if you have any kind of legacy workloads that require Python 2 and that you still need to move over to Python 3. We have removed IMGen. The migration from SLE 11 is no longer supported. So if you want to move from SLE 11 SP4 to SLE 15 via migration, SLE 15 SP3 is the last migration target that you can migrate to. As mentioned, Python 3.10 is replacing Python 3.9. If you're migrating from 15 SP3 and if you're using already Python 3.9, please make sure that after the migration, you activate the Python 3 module, because that will provide you the update to Python 3.10 and also the further security updates. This is also part of our release notes, so that you are aware that if you're doing a migration from 15 SP3 with Python 3.9, that this is a necessary step to get all the updates. And MariaDB 10.6 is replacing 10.5. On the deprecated component side, it's important to note that SMB1 has been deprecated in 15 SP4. This is done due to upstream Samba deprecating SMB1 for the next Samba version. So if we are going to update Samba to a newer version with future service packs, this is preparing for this removal of the SMB1 support. So please have a look into your applications, into your workload, if there is SMB1 used anywhere, to move to a newer protocol version. The YaST2 subtune module has been deprecated, same as the HA cluster bootstrap. On the XFS side, XFS is now deprecating the v4 format file systems. We are deprecating NIS. Important here is that NIS is to be removed with the next major code stream. So within SLE 15, you will still get your NIS support, but with the next major code stream, this will be moved together with all the tools that require or not require, but implement NIS inside of SLE. And PostgreSQL 14 is replacing version 13, but this old version is still available within the legacy module, so that you have the option to migrate to 15 SP4 first, and then migrate your database from PostgreSQL 13 to PostgreSQL 14. But the recommended way is to first do the migration of your database and then move up to 15 SP4. Not directly a change within 15 SP4, but something that is related to SLE nonetheless, are some improvements that have been done in the SUSE Customer Center. So the renewal management has been improved. So you can now clearly see the subscriptions where there is a renew date upcoming. And you can also, we are also providing options for you to better understand the subscription quantity change over the time of the active subscription and the renewals that were done. We are now delivering PDFs via RPM repositories, so it's now easier to install the PDFs via enabling a customized repository on your systems within SEC. For the IHV subscription, we are here providing more functionalities within the API. So IHVs can now integrate their ordering system with SEC, so that the subscriptions are automatically delivered to the customers. And this now completely removes the requirement to manually contact the SUSE team to create and provide these subscriptions. And the great thing is this also works with renewals. And for the other improvements, it's now possible to upload files up to 5 GB for support cases directly via SSC. It's also possible to provide a registration code when registering client systems against RNT. And we introduced plausible I/O for a privacy-friendly, GDPR compliant and cookieless analytics via SEC. If you require any further information on the SLE 15 SP4 release, I urge you to head over to the SUSE.com webpage. We have provided comprehensive release notes for the 15 SP4 update. Also, all the documentation has been updated to reflect the changes in 15 SP4. You can find product information on our webpage, and you can also find the access to the beta program, which might not be that important for 15 SP4 anymore, but definitely for the upcoming Service Pack 5 and also for the next major code stream. So if you're interested into beta testing our future releases, please head over also to the beta program page. And that's all from my side. So thanks for your attention and have a great day. Bye-bye.